Hello and welcome to another episode of Raucus Attempts Esports. I hope you are all well as always and you're having a good week. Before we kick off this week's episode looking at our adventures in Zandvoort, I'm going to be taking a moment to have a proper look at a lap comparison with Ford Esports driver Phil Russell, who's also the Esports advisor for the UK for racing. And he featured in our special last Wednesday, which was really a big highlight for our kind of 8-week journey, going from no experience to completing a first series in esports racing. So I wanted to see how to do picture-in-picture properly and learn how to do that, and also use the extra footage we've got to just find out exactly where I was losing so much time when we did our laps. It's quite a stark difference, as you can see already, going under this bridge here on the downhill section of Spa. I'm already quite considerably behind. I mean, from the first corner, he was just carrying so much more speed than I was. All of these bridges are pretty good markers. I reckon about half a second dropped back here. I'm a little bit wider off these apexes, which makes the track that bit longer. You're just not carrying so much speed through. And yeah, coming up this fast straight, you've got to carry as much as you physically can. Going under this bridge here, that's definitely about a second down. Makes quite a big difference. There's not much time to pick up when you're on this straight because it's all pretty straightforward corners, but it's just when you start that long straight, picking up as much as you can is critical. And yeah, I mean, I'm not even into the last chicane before he's headed towards the finish line. So yeah, it's pretty convincingly beaten, but that's what I was expecting really. It was just a pleasure to be able to drive against him and kind of see what the level is really to get to, what to target. And I'd done some training and some practice that morning. It was a new car to me as well, so I definitely wasn't as good as perhaps I might have been with something else. But I know Spa quite well. It was as kind of familiar a track as it can be really. So I was putting in reasonable times without having serious practice on it, but it was a highlight, definitely more so than than Zandvoort. For me, it was probably the worst week I've had yet. In some ways, it's a new track to me, not something I've been before. It's obviously on the F1 circuit, so it was on my radar. It's obviously very fast, a lot of straights, a lot of kind of open to medium corners, so there's a lot of flow involved, finding your rhythm, attacking a corner which sometimes doesn't even look like a corner because it's just a big chunk of wide grey concrete. It is a really nice track, and once I kind of found a rhythm, I was enjoying it, but the only problem was I think the lack of rhythm, or not being able to find your rhythm. It wasn't just me struggling with that at times, and when other drivers are struggling with that, you can't predict what they're going to do as well, and it just causes a lot more problems. I mean, this instance right here is entirely my own fault. I was in third place, a comfortable third place. It was a clean race. Everyone was kind of doing their own thing, carrying on, and I realised I'd put the wrong amount of fuel in the car and had to pit, and ended up 10th, I believe, in that race, which was somewhat infuriating as I'd been doing pretty well. Here, first place, very happy, and yeah, just dropped it into the first gear by accident, just snarled the car around, and then everyone piled into me. Again, entirely my mistake there. So early in the week, that was okay by my standards. I was expecting to improve on that, and the fact that I'd been in first place was pretty good. Here I'm on my third race, trying to get a slipstream, pushing too hard, just get too close to the back, follow him into the grass, and yeah, it all goes downhill from there. I think I hit about 4 people in this carnage. Yeah, pretty bad. And that was, I think, put me in 17th. So, gone from pretty good positions so far to nothing each time. This is my 4th, so if I'm trying to do it in good order and try and get the races completed nice and early, this is the one that I've got to take a result on, and then it will just take my 1 result, and that's me done for the week. Racing a reasonable strength of field here. I mean, this guy's managed to come back from a pretty serious moment there to take 2nd back, so he knows what he's doing. And this is a section, if you get that first corner right, no obstructions, and you pull up 1st gear, 2nd gear, carry all your speed all the way around. It's all about carrying your speed in this, and that particular dipped right hand corner is pretty scary to do if you're fully committing. This one, yeah, just thought he was going to get off the racing line, but he just stamped on the brakes and sat on it. Not much I could do there. Bent my front wing, and they're pretty punishing the mechanical issues on this. This aero damage is not necessarily kind of race ending. You can drive with it, but well, that's if you're not getting black flagged. But I think I dropped to 7th there just because I was getting overtaken. I was dropping about 10 seconds of pace a lap, which is massive round here. Doesn't take much to get overtaken with that kind of deficit. Here again, I've started off pretty well. I'm into 4th place. Started in 2nd, I think, there. This corner, you want to open it up in 4th, carry the speed, but he braked into that corner, which I was not expecting, so just about managed to keep it out of the back of him there, but caused me to go off track. Here you want to take a nice early apex. It's quite difficult to do and carry speed because you're just drifting out constantly, and that's one where you've really got to envision the racing line in your mind, because it's not easy to spot on the track when you're low down in the cockpit mode. But my race pace has been pretty consistently good, even my quali, which is one thing I was trying to work on this week. So I was always very competitive at the front, which usually means you're not dealing with stuff like this. So yeah, again, just nowhere to go. Taking out my suspension. That was the end of that. So by this point we're kind of race 7, and it's getting really frustrating. This is a week where I've spent almost 50% fighting at the front or starting on the front row and just getting nothing from it, like not even finishing in the top 10, which is pretty infuriating, especially when you kind of, because of your quality performances, you're convincing yourself you should be doing a lot better, and a lot of them aren't my mistakes, but some of them were, so it's entirely on my own head for those. Here, fighting for a pretty respectable position, coming up to take 1st, and boom, just completely sideswipes me. Again, not my fault, nothing I could do, was completely blindsided there, couldn't even see that he'd dipped his tyre off the track. I was already past, and he just, took my back wheels. I mean, that would have been me free and clear in 1st if that hadn't happened. But luckily, he caught me on the tyre. It was gentle contact, and I didn't actually take any damage. So, last race of the week, and I've got the fires of hell burning behind my eyes. Again, that's another front row place lost because of someone else's mistake. So I push him pretty hard here. I've already made up a couple of places there. Some mistakes helped me out as well, and I think that's me pushed back into about 5th place here. I've got a sight of 2 more ahead of me, so it's just a case of keeping on pushing, and none of these were that easy to take. They were pretty fast, but they were pushed into a couple of mistakes, going wide in certain corners. That's the move I should have made, or that should have happened on the previous guy. But yeah, just wrong place at the wrong time in my case there. I should have been a bit narrower on him. I learnt that from that incident. That was a nice little inside overtake there on that first corner. And yeah, that's a bronze. So I finished with the 3rd place, but it was averaged with the 7th place as my next best result. So that's about 50 points for the week. Took me to 227th. Bit frustrating, but it's what it is, and hopefully a better week this week. So we'll see you soon.